Let's talk about soulmates. What is a soulmate? How do you identify a soulmate? And what is the purpose of a soulmate? In this video, that's what we're going to talk about.
What will attract you to your soulmate is the spirit of that person. That's why they talk about love at first sight. No, it's not sight, it's love at first hear. Because that person will open their mouth and say something or do something that will express and communicate that person's spirit. And it's what God uses. He uses that person's spirit to attract you. Because that body will fade. But it's the spirit of the person. And watch this. That spirit will feel like it has been with you all of your life. That spirit will know you. How do you know me? And we just met. We didn't just meet. God is a God of purpose. He's a God of intentionality. He's a God of vision. And He wants to be involved in every area of your life, especially relationships. Because relationships, as you know, will make you or they will break you.
If you're new here, my name is Kenim, and this is actually my first video on this channel. Welcome to Spiritual Stinger. I think that's the name I want to go with. I'm not sure if I'm going to change it. But anyway, on this channel, we talk, how would I describe this channel? This is a new channel of mine. I have a few other channels, Brand Video Pro, Stream OVG, Stream OVG Business. But on this channel, it's all about spiritual edutainment. What does that mean? Well, I want to explore spirituality from not only an academic perspective, but also an intellectual perspective, but also exploring it from, I want to explore it from a spiritual perspective, exploring spirituality from a spiritual perspective. Exactly. It means just that. So not necessarily, so thinking about spirituality and connecting with your inner being to learn who you really are. So that's really what this channel is about. I'm exploring here. So guys, if you're interested in this kind of thing, like, subscribe, make sure you follow me on all socials on this platform. Okay. Let's begin. So before we can really understand what a soulmate is, we have to first understand what a soul is. What is your soul? Now, I got this from a great video that Oprah did with the author of The Seat of the Soul, Gary Zukov.
What is the soul?
The soul is what you are. The soul is not a mythical entity. The soul is a powerful, purposeful essence. It is at the very center of who you are. But do not think that you are the entirety of your soul. A soul is enormous. Your soul existed before you were born, and your soul will exist after you die. You, the Oprah that I am speaking to, I, the Gary that is speaking to you, are personalities. I have a certain psychological structure. I have lessons to learn in my life. I have emotions. I have intuition and cognition. I have all of those things. But all of those things will die. But my soul will not, and neither will yours.
Does my soul know me?
Yes. Yes.
He gives this really great analogy about a mothership. So imagine the biggest mothership that you can imagine, right? Massive, right? You're in the middle of the ocean, massive mothership, the biggest thing you can imagine. And imagine all these little boats around it, right? So the mothership is your soul, and the little boats are the different parts of you.
Look at it this way. Every fleet of ships that sails has a mothership, one ship that knows where all of them are going and sets the direction for all of those ships to sail. This doesn't mean that the mothership determines what happens on each of the other ships in the fleet. Life on one of the ships might be mostly pleasant. On yet another ship, it might be mostly unpleasant.
Right, so he refers to the soul as the big Y, that's the you, because your soul understands why you were born. Your soul understands what you're here to accomplish, what you're here to do, right? So that is the mothership with this mission. And then there are all these little boats. One of them is maybe your flesh, your emotions, your ego, all these little boats surrounding surrounding your ship.
The mothership knows why you are in the water. You may not know all of the time. The mothership knows why you encounter storms. Your job, while you have the awesome privilege of being a little boat, is to learn how to sail in the same direction as your mothership. Because you can choose and create anything you want. You can sail in the opposite direction if you want. That is a sure way to find rough water.
But what a lot of people face is that they have this big mothership with it, which is your soul, right? And your soul is meant to be leading. But they have, maybe their ego is leading. Maybe their ego is leading. Maybe their flesh is leading. Maybe other aspects of themselves is leading. And that's where you're going to run into some issues in life. Because you want the mothership, your soul, to lead, right? And so when you think about it from that perspective, it all makes sense. Because when imagine having this little boat, maybe it's your ego, and it's pulling this big mothership along. It's like pulling this big mothership along. Well, then you're not going to get very far, are you? And you're not using yourself. You're not using your fullest potential. So the idea of the soul is that the soul is meant to lead, right? It knows why you're here. It knows your purpose on this planet.
But as you sail in the direction that your mothership wants to sail, your life fills with meaning and purpose and love. You are excited about being alive. You are excited about the people you are with and what you are doing.
Because you're following the mothership.
That's right.
So keeping that in mind, so there's this idea that, everybody has a soul, and therefore everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a reason to be on this planet, right? But putting that in mind, there's this idea of a soulmate. So what exactly is a soulmate? And I got this definition from Pastor Touré Roberts' video, The 5 Keys to Identifying Your Soulmate. And guys, if you haven't watched that video, I really suggest that you watch that video. It's really going to help you. This video is going to complement that video. So bear with me, right? So he says, and I've sort of remixed this to a version that is more me and more inclusive of people that might not practice Christianity, right? So a soulmate is a person that God or the universe has chosen for you within your time on the planet to complement you and to complete God's purposes for you and to ensure the fullness of your potential being realized. I'll repeat that, right? Your soulmate is a person that God or the universe has chosen for you within your time on the planet to complement and to complete God's purpose for you and to ensure the fullness of your potential being realized. Now, this is vice versa, right? So the way that I would summarize that is that your soulmate is a catalyst to help you achieve your purpose and to help you, and you're here to help them achieve theirs, right? So then notice in this whole definition, love was not once mentioned. Very interesting, right? A soulmate is not necessarily, you could love anyone. You're going to love your soulmate. But a soulmate is not necessarily here because of love. It's so much deeper than that. It's here. Your soulmate is here for the same reason that you're here, to help you fulfill your purpose on this planet.
A soulmate is a person that God has chosen for you. So you've got two types of relationships. You've got relationships that God has put you in, and you've got relationships that you put yourself in. You got two types of marriages. Marriages that God has joined together and marriages that you have joined together. You've got to make sure before you get married that this is the person that God has chosen for you. It's very important. Because if it isn't, and one day you discover your purpose, because who God is joining together for you, it's all about purpose. It's not about your happiness. It's not because you just love. You don't get married because you love. Love is in it, but that's not why you get married. You get married because you know that this is the person that God has chosen for you. And if this is the person that God has chosen for you, you will have love. But love doesn't lead you, a revelation leads you.
So your soul is here to learn some lessons, to fulfill a purpose, and your soulmate is here to complement you in that mission. And you are here to complement them in their mission.
Whatever you do, everything has to have purpose. I don't know about dating. I don't know about dating. Because dating is, well, let me see. Let me see. Who has time for let me see? Let's just keep it all the way real. It's, well, let me, it could be, let me see. See, here's the real deal. Here's reality. When you know, you know. And if you don't know, it's not it.
When it comes to your soulmate, when you know, you know. If you don't know, then that's not it. So this sentence is a very interesting sentence because it suggests that, and you hear this all the time, people say, when you know, right? But some people ignore the when in that statement. When you know, you know. Because it means that time is a very important factor. Sometimes you're going to meet your soulmate and you're going to know instantly that that's your soulmate. But sometimes it can take you a long time, years even, to realize that is your soulmate. And I'm going to give you some examples. So there's going to be a question like, how can this person be your soulmate and you don't know? Here's the thing. Remember I talked about your soul? And I also talked about the little you. Your soul always knows, always identifies its soulmate. Your soul knows. Now, the little you might not know. The little you, the little why, your flesh, your ego, the other parts of you might not have identified that this is your soulmate, but the big why, your soulmate, your soul knows, right? And so timing is a factor because that realization happens in different ways for different people, right? But I'm going to break that down. I think I'm going to break that down in the next video in this series to really for you to really grasp that in more depth. But I want to keep going. I don't want to fall off track. So keeping this in mind, when you first hear of a soulmate, everyone thinks we're talking about romantic love. But the truth is there are different types of soulmates. Not every soulmate is a romantic connection. In fact, most of them are probably not. So we're going to break down, and this is where I'm going to bring love back into this. We're going to break down the different types of soulmates that you may encounter in your life based on the 8 different types of love. So what are the 8 different types of love? Well, okay, let me do it this way. Number 1, philatia. So philatia love is self-love. Having a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. It's about having respect, self-compassion, acceptance, and appreciation for oneself. The love catalyst for this type of love is your soul, right? Self-love, the catalyst for that is your soul. Now, I believe that you are your first soulmate. You will have the deepest connection. The deepest connection that you will have on this planet is with yourself. On this planet, in this universe, the deepest connection is with yourself. And I feel that when it comes to finding your soulmate, people assume that they pay attention to love from outside forces, and they haven't established that self-love that is so important and so foundational to your existence and your being, that you need to really learn how to connect with it and find it, because that will lead you to all of your soulmates. Fellatio, self-love, probably the most important love that you will ever connect with ever in existence, in your existence, and in the existence of your soul. The next love is storge love, right? And this is love of a parent, children, family, or family friends, right? The love catalyst for this is memories. If you're lucky enough to have a soulmate that is, within your family, like your parent, your siblings, your children, if you're lucky enough, that is probably it's going to be magical. It's incredible. And it's also going to be probably the earliest soul connection or soulmate connection that you will discover. You might even discover it before you discover your self-love, right? So I think the really important thing when you have a family member, especially if it's a parent or a parental figure or a guardian in your life, that is your soulmate, is to learn not to neglect it and to learn how to build that connection. Well, the connection is already there, right? But how to not abuse that connection. Let me say it like that. The next love is philia, and that's the kind of love you find within friends. The love catalyst for that is your mind, right? Think about your friendships, your deep friendships with your friends. It's really about, both of your minds, how you think, how you make each other laugh, how you interact with each other. It's really about your mind. So that is the love catalyst there. So this type of friendship, first of all, finding your soulmate is rare. Most people are not your soulmate, right? In fact, everyone is not your soulmate. I've seen a video that talks about how everyone is your soulmate. No, you can have a soul connection with everyone. You can have soul ties with everyone, but everyone isn't your soulmate. And so if you're lucky enough to have a friendship that is not just a soul connection, but is a soulmate, cherish that friendship, because that's a beautiful thing. Cherish that friendship. And remember, when it comes to this, if you know, you know. When you know, you know. If you don't know, then that's not it. Let me repeat that. If you don't know, then that is not it. And how do you know? How do you get this knowing? It comes from your soul. It comes from your inner being. So it's really about finding that ability to connect with your inner being. And when you find that connection, because first, like I told you, self-love will lead you to your soulmates, right? Fellatio, appreciating that you are your first soulmate, connecting with yourself through love and through what you are. That is how you then move into this inner knowing, and then and this understanding of how to identify your soulmate. So you're gonna see that this connection is deep. This soul connection is deep, and you're gonna see it when you have a friendship like this. So when you have a friendship like this, look, cherish all your soulmates. The next one is just the most popular one, and probably what you assume this video was all about, is Eros, and that is romantic love. And the love catalyst for that is your body, your physical form, your physicality, and that makes sense because these intimate relationships are really about, yes, the body is so important because you can have a soul connection with someone or a soulmate in someone, and that's just your friend. But when you have this soul connection and this soulmate, that is a romantic type of love, well, that's also beautiful too. And that's something too. So that love catalyst is your body. And so what I do believe is that this Eros kind of love is probably going to be your deepest soulmate. Not necessarily. Some people might not even find their soulmate at all. But if you're lucky enough to find your soulmate in a romantic setting, it's probably going to be your most deepest soulmate connection, well, apart from the one with yourself. But that is because when you're, in a partnership with someone romantically. You're a part of each other's lives in every way there is. So I actually believe that this Eros type of love, this soul connection, and this is your truest soulmate, which I'm going to break down in a bit, but your truest soulmate, right, encompasses all the areas of love. That truest soulmate is your friend. You have all these different types of love for this person. But here's the thing that's interesting, right? Just because you found a romantic soulmate does not mean that they are your truest soulmate or the best romantic match for you in terms of a soulmate match for you on this planet. I'll repeat that. Just because somebody is your romantic soulmate does not mean that they are the best romantic soulmate for you. Now, I'm not saying this, I'm not putting this out there for you to discard a soulmate that you've met, because I'm going to give you how to identify this truest soulmate. I'm going to break that down in a bit. But I'm not telling you this for you to discard what you've been given. That's not what I'm saying. Right? Because look, a bird in hand is worth 10 in the bush. Say that again. A bird in hand is worth 10 in the bush. And if you search throughout the universe, through the depths of your soul, you'll find other soulmates. If you connect spiritually to them, you'll find them. But they're not on this planet right now. But let's keep going. Okay, so just because somebody is your romantic soulmate does not mean that they are your truest soulmate that is meant to be your life partner. Okay, so let's move on. And in a bit, I'm going to break down how to identify your truest soulmate. The next kind of love is ludus love. And ludus love is a playful love. And it represents the beginning stages of intimate love. Right? And so the love catalyst for this is emotion. And so think about it this way, when you first have like these butterflies in your stomach over like some romantic interest, or it could even be for a friend, like you're just super excited to hang out with this person. And think about ludus love is you can experience this ludus love with all your types of soulmate connections, right? You can experience this with your friend. You can experience this with your Eros love. You can experience this with your storage love, right? You can experience this with different types of love. So, but what it really represents is the honeymoon stages of love. And it represents their honeymoon stages. And like I said, it can be experienced with platonic friendships, romantic friendships, family, etc. And so a little key is that a lot of people, when they go into sort of like a romantic situation, they might be jumping the gun. They're going straight for the romance, and they're going straight for Eros, but they haven't even experienced ludus love, which is like, well, that's not really going to be fruitful, right? You want to build that honeymoon stage. You want to build that honeymoon stage and really build that so that you have a good foundation of like, whether it's enjoyment of each other, playfulness, emotions towards each other. You want to build up that stage. And so then before you move into Eros love. But some people are just trying to like jump the gun and go straight to Eros, and that can be problematic. And probably that situation might not even last long, if we're being honest. So the next one is pragma, which is an enduring love, a mature love that develops over time. And the love catalyst for this is your subconscious, right? Your subconscious. And you can have this type of love with all your soulmates, really, because the more and more that you've experienced them in your life, the deeper that connection can become, the deeper that devotion to each other can become. So that's a good one. Then the next one is agape love. Agape. So this is a cosmic type of love. It's having empathetic love for every and anyone. And the love catalyst for this is your spirit. So you see people talking about how like everybody is your soulmate, which I don't agree with that. But this agape love is an acceptance of everyone's soul. It's a love of everyone's soul, because at your truest form, your truest self, your soul, what it is content, which is this peaceful happiness. What it is is love. That's who you really are deep down. And so when you connect with that love, you appreciate and you have love, or you can learn to have love or access the love that you have deep down for every soul that exists. That is what agape love is about. And so the last one is actually what I would call the type of love you want to avoid. And this is mania. So mania love is an obsessive love. So mania love is an obsessiveness, madness over a love partner. The love catalyst for this type of love is survival. Now, I feel like you probably, as a child, you probably had mania over your mother or maybe a parent, just like, because that, the love catalyst is survival. You actually need that person to survive as a child. But once you become more stable as a human being, and maybe you get into some of your first romantic relationships, or even just like in general, if you're not whole, if you're not full, if you're not a whole person, then you can move into this mania love where you just have this obsessive love for someone, because you believe that you need them you need their love, you need their validation in order for you to survive. That's how you think. But this is a very toxic type of love. And so I would definitely suggest that you seek therapy. That was not a joke, but like seek therapy, seek ways to try and get rid of that love, seek ways to make sure you don't develop that love in the first place. It's really toxic and you really want to avoid it. So when it comes to breaking these different types of loves down, they'll say, when it comes to friendship, you can experience philia, storge, and philatia. When it comes to your significant other, you can experience pragma, eros, and ludus. When it comes to family, you can experience storge, agape, and philia. So those are the different types of soulmates based on love, right? And so moving on, how do you identify your soulmate? If you watched Pastor Touré Roberts' video for One Church, he broke this down very well. Again, I suggest that you watch that video because it really will help you. It really will help you. But he broke it down to 5 ways to identify your soulmate. Now, like he said in the video, there are other ways that you can identify your soulmate. But if these 5 are not there, well, then that ain't it, right?
You don't seek them out. God presents them to you. Yeah, come on. At the right time when you are ready. Because you seeking them out, watch this, is you telling God that you're ready. As if you know. Sometimes God has to grow you up to match the soulmate that He has for you. So you think you're ready, but you ain't.
So the first one is chemistry. The two of you have chemistry. But the thing about chemistry is you can have chemistry with 50 people. You can have chemistry with a lot of people. So just having chemistry is not enough to qualify that person as your soulmate. And again, here we're talking about your truest soulmate, the best soulmate partner for you, that is meant to be your life partner, that you're meant to build with romantically, and who encompasses all the kinds of love, apart from mania. But sometimes mania is in there, but you want to avoid that. But encompasses all the types of love that I broke down earlier. Now, so chemistry just means that you guys like similar things. You're similar, right? Or there's something about you like you just have this chemistry. The next one is connection, and that is qualified by, you're drawn to each other. There's a desire for you guys to go further together. There's a need for you guys to be together. Now, the thing about chemistry is that timing is a very important factor here. And so if the chemistry, maybe one of you has identified that this is a soulmate and the other person hasn't identified it, well, it just might not be the right timing. So just because your needs and your connection is drawn and the other person's isn't right now, well, at the right time, the connection will be mutual, right? The next one is wholeness. You have to be whole. This is so important. People again, like I said, wholeness is such an important part. Both of you can't come together and you complete each other. That's a problem. Or you're half full and the other person's half full. And then, yeah, no. That's just not a sustainable way.
A soulmate does not fill a void. Soulmate doesn't fill a void. Soulmate complement, it's a mutually complementing. You have two destinies. And God has ordained this soulmate to be a purpose mate to the destinies of each person. It's not to fill a void. If you feel empty without them, there's a problem. Empty? Maybe lonely. Maybe you want to kick it or something like that, but empty? You fill me up?
So what does wholeness really mean? What does it really look like, right? Wholeness is all about being healthy in your mind, body, and soul. But not only that, wholeness is also having a strong foundation, or at least stability, being able to stand on your own 2 feet in these different ways, right? Emotionally, you have to be emotionally stable. You have to have a strong emotional foundation. Spiritually, you need that spiritual foundation, because again, a soulmate, it's all about you have to have connected with that inner self, that inner being with you that you're in, and have that spiritual foundation. Financially, this is such an important one that people don't realize. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet financially. You have to have that financial foundation.
What are some of the most common money problems that you see come up?
The common money problem. Number one, just being broke and trying to date. All right.
Whoa. Okay. You trying to tell me, okay, what's your definition of broke?
Broke is you cannot stand on your own 2 feet and take care of your bills and essentials. Not that you got to live a life of luxury or anything like that, but you on your own cannot survive.
And then the last one is healthily. You have to be healthy. And here's the thing. Well, how would you define healthy? Healthy enough to be able to walk in your purpose. So you need to be healthy enough to actualize your purpose throughout its intended longevity. Now, if you're in a hospital bed and you're sick, or you're not, whatever the way you're eating might affect your life in the long run, you might not be in the right place in terms of your health for you to connect with this soulmate. So you need to be healthy. And I'm not talking about later in life when you're in you're late, you're dying or you're older and life's finishing off. I'm talking about you in your prime, when it's most probably likely when you're going to meet your soulmate in your prime. But hey, who knows? Because at the end of the day, you're here for a purpose, right? And you're going to execute to your best ability when you're in your prime, right? So your soulmate is there to help you, and you're here to help them complete each other's purposes. So the chances you're going to meet them later in life when you're dying, when you're not able to actualize your purpose, doesn't make sense, right? But you're probably going to meet them when you're in your prime, and so that health factor is important. If you're dying and you're in a hospital bed, if you're sick, if you're unable, if your health is getting in the way of you executing your purpose, well, that is an issue, and that's probably not the best place.
You will sabotage your soulmate if you're not whole. I don't want you. Lord, you got to be mature enough to say, God, don't even bring her. Don't even bring him until I'm whole, because I'm going to slaughter the poor person. I'm going to slay the person with my brokenness.
The next way you identify your soulmate is purpose, divine purpose. Like I said, look, we're all here for a reason. But the problem is not everybody knows the reason that they're here. Not everybody is walking in alignment. Not everybody is walking towards their purpose. Look, alignment will lead you to your soulmate. Let me say that again. Alignment will lead you to your soulmate. And this is your truest soulmate, right? Because, so alignment will lead you to your soulmate. So you need to be walking in your purpose. And that's when you're going to find your soulmate. And that's when you're going to be with you, when you're in the right place in your purpose, is when you and your soulmate, when it's time for you guys to actualize together, that is when both of you will flourish as soulmates in the right time. So maybe you met your soulmate. Maybe she's in a relationship with someone else. Maybe you're in a relationship with someone else. Maybe it's just not the right timing, because the connection is meant to be for you guys to fulfill that purpose.
If you don't have a sense of purpose, you're not ready for your soulmate, because your soulmate is for your purpose and you for that person's. Do you know why you're here? The last thing you want to do, I talk about it in the book, the last thing you want to do is get into a relationship, get into a serious relationship, get married, and find your purpose. Because your purpose will change your life. It will change your direction. It will change your focus. It will change a lot about your life. And what happens if you wake up after you find your purpose and you realize that you're not the person who got married? Or your spouse finds her purpose or his purpose, and they wake up, and now they know who they are, and a counterfeit version of them married you. Then one or two things will happen. Either you or that person will sacrifice yours or their purpose for the marriage, so that the marriage then becomes more important than the reason why you were born, and that'd be sad. Or you have to go through the painful process of sacrificing the marriage for purpose. Sometimes things can work. I'm not saying that those are the two absolutes, but those are the two probabilities, the highest probable things.
The last one, and this is probably the most distinct one that will signify that this is your truest soulmate. Because you might have other soulmates, and perhaps you haven't received this. But this last factor is when you receive this, you know that this is your truest soulmate. And that is divine confirmation. So what exactly is divine confirmation? You get a direct message. In fact, you get many direct confirmations from God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. Some of them are freakish. Some of them are, you won't even believe it. Like, what? How? What? But it's just going to keep happening to prove to you that this is the one. This is the one that was chosen for you. This is your truest soulmate. It will be clear and it would be confirmed. And no matter how much you question it, it will be known.
And she, on the other end, was experiencing something very similar. And then there's so many confirmations and so on and so forth.
And the trick here, how do you know? You connect with your soul. You listen to your soul. You connect through your soul to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it.
If you're dating somebody right now and you don't have a word from God about that person, you shouldn't be dating them. If you're dating a person, you don't feel the presence of God when you're together, something's wrong. Why don't you feel the presence of God? If it's God, you should feel his presence around anything that's connected to you. Hello, somebody. And you got to be real about it. Don't think that you have your spiritual life and your love life. No, it's all one.
But that divine confirmation, this is just, I mean, how do you even, it could be freakish things. Like maybe you say the person's name and the phone number, you know, the person calls you, or I don't know. But you will know that those confirmations are real. So there you have it. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope it really helped you define what a soulmate is. In the next video, I'm going to break down what to do when your soulmate says no. What to do when your soulmate doesn't want you back. But I hope this video was helpful to you. Please like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Namaste.